guys, how's it going? Welcome to this week's recap video. I really wanted to do this one outside. I can't wait till we're outside doing stuff again.
I think it'd be a little chilly. It's still only like 36, 37 degrees.
I know, but the sun is shining. So like up against a building, I did a little work up against the barn earlier today, and it was warm. Like legitimate, like take off your coat kind of warm. And it's 71 in our greenhouse right now. We have the temperature set to 50. So, you know, at night it doesn't dip below 50, but in the day when the sun comes out, it heats up fast. And there's little violas blooming in there, snapdragons that we recently cut back the violas in there and cleaned up the snapdragons a bit and fertilized everything. And we're seeing buds and blooms. Oh, we're getting close, you guys. Very, very close. But let's just jump into last week's videos. The first one was decorating with the antiques we just picked up, plus a few new houseplants. So I just utilized some of the antiques and other items that my mom and I had recently picked up on a trip and set up a couple of corners in our great room. Our great room for 4 years almost was like, and is still like kid central, but it was like too much kid central.
Yeah.
Like toys had just taken over, and I was just feeling like I need to have one room in this house that's an adult space.
I don't know if you can say taken over, like taken over a corner.
Well, no, but they were like all over the mantle. They were and the keyboard was in that one corner, which it's now in the kids' playroom. We set up in the old plant room. We set up the kids a playroom, so the keyboard's in there. I ordered some like organizational cubbies with little basket things, and they love being up there now, which is so nice. But I really just wanted that one room in the house. We still have that one cabinet in one corner that's full of toys, and that's where we do hang out with the kids a lot in the evenings. But it's nice to have a pretty space too. Anyway, all that said, I used some of the pieces and went and got a few houseplants and put those around in the room, and it was just really a fun project. The Plantastic Nerd said, so glad we get to see how you actually use those wonderful antiques you find. Your style is so cured and well balanced. A very inspirational video. Thank you, Laura. Thank you for that nice comment. So sweet. I know everybody's style is so incredibly different, and mine's always evolving too, that you guys are always so kind in the comment section, because I mean, even if it's not your style, my style isn't exactly your style, everybody's just so encouraging and nice. I always am a little bit like when I do anything cooking or anything that's kind of off from gardening a little bit, I always get a little nervous, I guess, because we're so garden focused, which is how we want the channel to be. But you know, it's fun to share other parts of our life too sometimes. Sonia said, you put plants into the cabinet. Will they get enough light? I'm watching them fairly close. They're looking good right now. They're right next to a window. So like the cabinet's here, a window is right here, and it gets quite a lot of bright light right there. So I think they'll be okay. And I used a fern in there and a peperomia. Fern will be completely fine. The peperomia we'll see. That's the one I'll be watching the closest. Chelsea said, what breed of chickens do you have that lay the dark brown eggs? So they are copper Maran, M-A-R-A-N. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Our neighbor who is like, she has tons of poultry, I guess, fowl.
Yeah.
Anyway, she has tons of birds, and I've asked her how to pronounce that word so many times, and I can never remember it. Is there like ever a person in your life that you just cannot remember their name no matter how many times somebody has told you?
Oh yeah, I have. There's people that I just routinely forget their name, like people that I should not, forget their name.
And you're like, anyway, that's the way it is with this chicken breed.
Like think about getting older or like.
I think I've always been like that.
Really?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Just like
feels like it's getting
isolated.
Worse for me though.
Oh really?
Like, I forget what things are called.
You've been hanging around me too much, I think.
I'll be like, well, it's in the pantry. Like.
Melody said, why not put a vining draping plant hanging over the edge? Your mantle is top heavy, in my opinion, with upward movement. Yes, we could put a vining draping plant. I don't love vining draping plants, and I don't really love the way they look in rooms. In fact, I have philodendrons and pothos and things on top of bookcases, and I keep them trimmed. I do not want to have like trailers all over the place. I'm not a fan of that look. I like things to be a little bit tidier. That fireplace is intimidating to me. It's not my style exactly. That part of the house was built on in the 80s, and it's something that Aaron and I would really like to change at some point. It's awesome to have it. Like when we get to build a fire when it's like snowing outside or you're just extra chilly. There are those days. Having a wood burning fireplace is really kind of special. And it's neat because it's a 3-way. I love that you can see it in 3 different rooms. But the front of it is pretty it's big. The Dainty Hook said, what would you call your decorating style? Victorian conservatory? Well, I guess some elements of it. I don't know. I think it's very eclectic. I like traditional kind of classic stuff. I like, I guess some Victorian elements, but nothing that's too, like the chairs that I put in that room, the peach colored ones, that's very feminine based, like if you were to compare it to everything else that I usually buy, they are very feminine, and I bought them because I bought them for Samantha Grace's room, but I love them so much.
You know, it's really interesting how they can take on different colors, those chairs. They can look pink, and they can also look salmon, and they can also look orange in
color,
some lights.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's French elements that I really love. I like English estate. I don't know what kind of style that is, but like a lot of the places we've been able to tour, they are cozy, and there's a lot of texture and a lot of like fabric and patterns, and I like it to feel rich and cozy like that in color and texture. I don't care for, well, I don't know though. I see pictures of like Aaron's dream home is Rob Lowe's house.
Yeah.
In California.
I think it's his previous house.
His previous house, which is like this giant, it was built to
it's
resemble a home he grew up in, right? So it's like colonial style. And you go in it almost feels kind of coastal, like coastal traditional, in that it's like there's bright white, but big moldings, and there's a lot of warm elements though.
It feels, well, it's very white.
Yeah.
It's very bright. It feels what I would imagine like a southern home might feel like, but with maybe like a little bit of a modern flair to it. And that's what I like, is that you're not actually going for that, you like English, but you're not actually looking for like an 18th century, English home. You want some modern
if I could have one. I mean, scaled way down, but that
maybe some light switches here and there, and some outlets to plug things in. But yeah, we'll have to put some pictures or video or something up on the screen.
And I love a lot of elements about that house as well.
Yeah.
I like the architecture of it. I like...
it's too big, but like if you could just take the look of how it is, I think it's like a 10,000 square foot house or something like that. But if you could take that look, like, that general style and say like, that's the style I like in, as big a house as we could afford.
Right. I like the fireplaces in that house.
Yeah.
I think they're really neat. And I don't know. There's a lot of architectural details. I like the built-ins are really nice. So
I think when it comes down to it, though, I don't think that you could actually do the white.
Yeah, I think it feels too stark and cold to me when I'm in it.
Yeah.
Like as living in it. I love to go see it. I love to look at it. But to live in it, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm willing to try it. Okay. Rosemary said, will the plants in the hutch be okay enclosed without airflow? Yes, it's just like a greenhouse for the plants, but a much larger one than I'm used to putting, like terrariums, I mean, take those for example. We put together terrariums on occasion, and those plants do really well. So this is like a giant version of one of those, and it's not airtight either around the door and so forth. Air is being exchanged. It's not enclosed 100%. Seasons with Anthony said, when you say a season, do you mean a year? Yeah. Pretty much.
Do you though?
Yeah, so 3 seasons ago is 3 years ago. Because I always talk about like, well, I'm going to grow this season.
You're talking about 3 of the same season. When you say season, you actually just mean that seasonal time period, but you're saying 3 seasons ago is 3 of those summer seasons or 3 of those winter seasons.
Yeah, but sometimes I refer to like, well, this season I am going to be focusing on planting more fruit trees. Mm-hmm. Well, does that mean this season, like the season we're currently in? No, I mean like the whole growing season. It's a growing season. In my mind, it's all like based on growing season, which I realize is quite confusing. Next video, garden before and after reveals. So we took some of your submissions, looked at some of your before and after shots of your gardens, and that was really fun. In fact, we have another one coming out, right?
It might go up before this video.
Before this one, yeah.
Or shortly after. One of the two.
Yeah. That was just so much fun.
We might have enough for a part 3 too.
Yeah, I think we will. Anyway, thank you to everybody who sent in your pictures. That was just so inspiring. And I mean, I love the container one too. Like looking at all the containers, they've all been really fun. But there's something about before and after, seeing the potential of a space and seeing what ideas other people have come up with. I don't know. It's just really neat. Em said, can you do more of these? I know you don't want to be repetitive or redundant, but I think most of us could watch these for hours. Love, love, love this video and inspiration. Yep, we got one coming up for you. Barbara said, Laura, your surprise reaction and enthusiasm for these garden mimics the reaction of many viewers, I'm sure. If you are genuinely surprised to see these, who is selecting the entries for creating the video? Erin? Others? Others. It's not me. I don't see any of the pictures or any of the commentary until I'm standing here in front of the camera. And so it's almost a little bit of a nervous feeling for me when I get up here and we start in. And the first one's always a little bit like, I always feel like it's a little, I don't know, like I got to get in the groove because I never know, like, should I be I want to read the commentary about, what this person has to say about their space, but I really want to look at all the pictures first. And so my sister-in-law, Alyssa, my sister-in-law, Nellie, and you. Yeah,
mostly Alyssa. It can take over a day to compile enough just for a single video. Mm-hmm. There's a lot that you have to wade through, and you do kind of have to judge them because there's like hundreds and hundreds. I think for before and afters, there was maybe close to like 600 submissions. You can't go through them all. And so you do try to kind of weigh like which ones.
I can't go through them all, but you guys go through them all.
Yeah. And you're trying to weigh like which ones are the most inspiring or, interesting. Because I think people would lose interest because, there are some people who there's a couple people who they either forget to upload the after or they just don't have an after. And I'm kind of like, well,
you missed it by
close. But, but yeah, so you do kind of have to judge a little bit.
Yeah.
It sucks that some of them don't show, but can't show them all.
Karen said, I'm a faithful follower and have been for years. I wish I would have known viewers could have sent in submissions. Will I be able to in the near future? Yes, you will. In fact, when we get ready to do one of these videos, one, I do mention it in the prior video, and we link to the form to submit your pictures in the description of that video, and I do mention that. And then we also put out posts on both Facebook and in the community section on our YouTube channel. Did I post it on Instagram in my stories?
I don't. You may have on one of them.
We keep Instagram pretty much. I just do whatever I want on Instagram, whatever I feel like at the moment. So we do post on multiple platforms, and we do talk about it in videos, and the link's always in the description of the video. So plenty of. Hopefully you see it next time. Plenty of ways, I guess, avenues to find out. Leah said, does anyone have the link to the YouTube channel Kim's Garden, the last garden shown in this video? I did a search, but it's not coming up and would love to follow her. We will link it down below this video. Kim's Garden got on and did link it, which was really great. And I
put the link in that video.
Oh, you did too? Okay.
We can link it again in this video.
I think that would be a good idea. Yeah. She took her backyard, South Korea, and they put a greenhouse like on a platform deck. It's really neat. Okay, next video is planting poppies in the snow. So I watched Impatient Gardener's video last winter, so it's been a year, about how she plants poppy seeds and how she just goes out on a winter day because poppy seeds need a cold period of at least 4 to 6 weeks. It's called a vernalization period in order to encourage the seed to germinate and grow. So you can either emulate that by putting your seeds in the refrigerator. You can do it in the winter sowing method in water jugs, which I do have some going. I've had great luck doing it that way. Or like Erin does, you go out and just sprinkle the seeds on the ground, right on top of snow. She does mention that it is important if you've got really heavy mulch underneath that snow or wherever you're sprinkling the seeds, just scrape that mulch away. So it's going to be interesting because my parents, I went out to my parents and we sprinkled a bunch of seeds in their orchard, and then I came home and sprinkled some here. I sprinkled some in the south garden, but our two corners are mulched very differently out there. On one side, there's kind of like a really fine mulch, which I think the poppy seeds will do great there because it's almost like a soil. And then in the other corner, we have a lot of wood chips, but they've been breaking down super duper fast. And I don't know how the ones that I seeded over there are gonna do. It'll be interesting. But I just thought if it can be this easy, I'm gonna plant poppies all over. I actually have a whole bunch more seeds that I forgot I had. So I'll be probably planting more here soon. First comment was from English Flowers by Michaela. Hi, about the wisteria. I did show the wisteria. At the very end, I planted some seeds near where I have a wisteria over an arbor. And I was talking about how I don't know what I'm going to do with that because I had intended on training that wisteria onto the roof of the tool shed, which is not there anymore. She says, here in England, people train them into tree forms about 4 to 5 feet high and prune them hard. The effect is a weeping tree form of the flowers followed by foliage. Some research into that might enable you to reshape that wisteria into an accent tree. Just an idea. That's an amazing idea. I might have to just do that because it has a trunk that's about this big now. I mean, it's established and it grows like crazy. Craig said, is there a limit to how much snow is on the ground? I'm in Minnesota with a good foot of snow on the ground. Also, will it affect poppy germination if my beds have a thick layer of shredded leaves under the snow? I would say yes, germination might be affected. The seeds need to make contact with the soil. So if there's a thick layer of anything really, they're gonna have a hard time. You'll have some probably make it through to the soil. And if your leaves are broken down enough, they might go ahead and just root, but it's a little bit more of a risk. I don't know if there's a limit to how much snow. I'm guessing not. I mean, I put it on top of a few inches. I mean, it's just gonna sit there and be cold and melt down to the ground as the snow melts. I mean, I would assume it'd be fine. Kai said, will the birds eat the poppy seeds? I don't think so. I haven't seen any birds out eating any of mine. We have feeders though. Our birds are spoiled around here. I mean, they eat the feeders down in like half a day. They have to be out there all the time. I don't know, they're so darn small.
They are really small.
Yeah, so you look like you have an opinion. Yeah, I planted so many, like thousands and thousands of seeds that they can have some if they want.
It's really not that much of an investment, right?
No.
Like a few bucks?
Yeah. In fact, let me show you one of you guys. Hold on. Sent me some. Okay. This is funny. Like how I didn't realize I still had this many poppy seeds to plant is beyond me. So on top of all the varieties we planted in that, I have poppy Sissinghurst white, purple peony, breadseed, Elka white breadseed, frosted salmon, Hungarian blue, more of those. I think we planted a little bit of those. Cream peony, black peony, supreme, hens and chickens, scarlet peony, swan's down, mother of pearl, and then Lindy in Ohio last year sent me a huge envelope of pink poppy seeds. I don't know if we can get a little video of all of these seeds. I mean, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of seeds in here because they're so tiny. I could plant a field with this right here. It was weird because I was getting ready to go out to my parents with the seeds that I had, and I looked at my seed inventory and I'm like, I have tons on my inventory. Where are they? Well, I forgot I had an envelope sitting here with just like stuffed full of seeds that I've picked up over the last little bit that I've needed to alphabetize into my containers still. I added it to inventory, just hadn't finished the second step. Anyway, found it after I was done with this project. Space Kitten says, is it not a concern that the poppy seeds may wash away in rain or wind or when the snow melts? Not really. I mean, unless you're getting like a gully washer type rainstorm that's just...
They're so flat too that things rarely wash away because it's nowhere to go.
However, though, at my parents' orchard, it has more of a slope. So it's likely, I mean, if we got a major rainstorm before they rooted in and they were solid in their position, you may lose some of them. But here, it's not as much of a concern, I don't think. Lauren says, for someone who doesn't have snow, zone 8A, would this still work? I purchased some seeds and want to grow them, but I'm not sure about the best method. When you're talking a cold period, I mean, you would need to make sure that they had 4 to 6 weeks subjected to temperatures at least 40 degrees or lower. I think 40 degrees is what a refrigerator is typically set at. So if you don't get that in your area, I would just go ahead and plan on putting them in the refrigerator so that they get it, and then you can bring them out and sow them regularly. Anna said, do you need to prep the soil? I noticed she sprinkled where there is grass. So confused. Sprinkled where in the orchard area at my parents' house, there's kind of some bunch grass in there, but we just want it to be kind of like a wild meadow look, and wherever the seed makes contact with soil, it's very patchy. We want poppies to come up, but we still want there to be grass in there as well. I mean, it'd be a different story if you were trying to seed it in a lawn that's really, really thick. That would be a lot harder. Next video is Seedling Update Tour, Seedling Transplant Thinning, and Hand Pollinating my Navel Orange. So we did quite a number of things here in the studio that day. I just showed you everything that's in here, just gave you an update on how everything's growing. So far, so good. I also talked a little bit about some of the insects I'm dealing with, aphids being the insect, and fungus gnats. I have a little bit of those too. And then how I'm fertilizing seedlings, and then we transplanted some, thinned some, and then I did talk about how to hand pollinate a citrus. A lot of stuff in that video. Julian said, I'm a 13-year-old trying to start seeds indoors in zone 8 in Washington State. My peppers are taking way too long to germinate and I don't know what to do. I love your videos. You got me hooked since I was 10. I've always loved gardening. And one question, can you plant snowball pumpkin in containers? I'm also planning on visiting Andrews one day. Okay, so first question was about peppers taking a long time to germinate. I don't know what you mean by a long time. If it's been a really long time, you might have to go ahead and seed them again. They typically take, I don't know how many days, but longer than some things. How long do peppers take to germinate? Quicker if you have a heat source underneath. They germinate in about a week or so at temperatures of 70 to 80 degrees. So sometimes I've heard of people putting them either on a seedling heat mat if you have one of those, that's ideal. You can also put them on top of a refrigerator that typically stays a little bit warmer, but once they germinate, you need to get them down and get them in proper light. But if it's been more than like a couple weeks, I would say pop some more seeds in there and try again. And let's see, can you plant a snowball pumpkin in containers? I would say, yeah, if the container's big enough and you're giving it enough water and fertilizer, I would try it for sure. It'd be interesting. Next question, where did you get the green water can? I want one just like that. I got it at my parents' garden center. It's a Dram 2-liter water can. It is really handy because it's got a long spout so I can reach all the way back to the back of my seed trays. And it's easier to control the water flow because it's skinnier. It's more narrow at the top as opposed to my 2-gallon or 1.5-gallon water can has like a bigger diameter right here and water comes out a lot faster. Carrie said, oh, this video gave me a reminder question. The biodegradable pots from Proven Winners. You did dahlias from seed, I think last year in those. I did. Did you like them? I used them and nothing broke down, not even mushy. Wondering what your thoughts were. I kind of had the same experience. I don't have like a huge amount of experience, but I did have the dahlia seedlings in there for quite a lot of the season and they hadn't started to break down either. And really, I kind of forgot about it somewhere along the line. I know you know more about it than I do.
Well, yeah, originally, because Proven Winners was going to start doing their, what do they call them? Like 4.5 quart, or what's their main size?
It's like their standard.
Their standard annual.
Yeah.
They call it like a grande, I think. Mm-hmm. They were going to start offering that, which this year they are, in the biodegradable pots. Although I don't think that they're calling them biodegradable because Proven Winners experience the same thing, that they don't really break down in a single season, but they are compostable. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what the marketing they're going to go with is like, these are compostable pots, which is, if you're concerned about single-use plastics, way better to use a compostable pot because you can throw it in your compost pile with some heat, and water and everything. It should compost. It will compost, but it won't degrade fast enough. So like, you really shouldn't be planting your annuals in the ground in the pot, which is kind of what they thought maybe you could get away with doing. Yeah. And you can't. So they're not going to be recommending that anybody do that, but they are. So Proven Winners has a couple of the owners. One of them is in near Detroit. Yeah, one's in New Hampshire and one's like near Detroit. They are going to be, I think, like almost 100% of what they are growing are going to be the compostable pots. So what they send out, but there's growers all across the U.S. that do pots. And Proven Winners is now offering it as a solution. And I think Proven Winners knows that one day in the future, the government will probably force everyone to use compostable pots. And I think that it's smart of them to get ahead of it and start offering it now as an option that people, it's more, they cost more. So a lot of growers aren't going to do it.
How much, do you know how much more?
I don't know the price point.
Like, is it pennies more per plant or is it like 20 cents per plant?
Let's say it could be as much as like a quarter more maybe. And I'm kind of just throwing that number out there, maybe 50 cents more. I think that in the end, people would want to pay the extra money to have a compostable pot because even simply just throwing it in the garbage can, it will break down.
Yeah.
It'll break down in like 1 or 2 seasons as opposed to a plastic pot that would
just
sit there for
forever.
like, I don't know, 1,000 years or something.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a step in the right direction. And the owners are trying to do as much of it as they can, but they're only, they only grow so much.
Right.
It's really growers across America that need to make the decision to do it or not.
And I think the thing about having a pot that would break down, I mean, it would be awesome if you could just pop that thing down in the ground and not worry about even taking it out. But they have to consider shelf life of these pots too, because sometimes, I mean, coming from a garden center background, we have plants that sit there for a while, and you can't
Months.
you can't, or sometimes we winter stuff over. I mean, they have far fewer things than we've wintered over in the past, but they've got a small handful of plants still in their greenhouse that they'll bring out in the spring. And so if you have something that you're hanging on to, you don't want your pot to be breaking down. So I think there's kind of that happy medium. It's like figuring out a way to combat the, the single-use plastic thing, but also creating something that can hold up and not be a total pain to people, trying to take care of these plants. I don't know.
Yeah.
Nathan said, wouldn't the fruit flies in the room be pollinating the orange? LOL. Are they not considered pollinators?
Are they? I know flies are pollinators.
I don't know that. I've never seen one of them landing on the flowers. I mean,
well, they're so small.
That would be great. Well, I can see them. Occasionally, like when we're in here filming, I'll see one like right here, and I'm wanting to.
They're kind of elusive, though.
Yeah, they are. There's not very many in here. I think I've kept it really kept the population down.
We had to get a dehumidifier for this room.
I did. It was it's still humid in here, but it was just like, it felt like when we were in Michigan that one year.
Yeah.
And like in the summertime, and you step outside and it feels like you're just like kind of wet.
They were having record heat. This was like maybe 4 years ago. They were having record heat and record humidity at the same time. We were like, oh, gee, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's how this room felt. So we have a dehumidifier in here, and so far it's working out great. Like, it's comfortable in here now. Kelly said, dumb question, but do you ever talk to your plants? No, I don't. I don't think I've ever really thought about that. Maybe I threaten my plants every once in a while. Like, if you don't perform, you're done. So you better kick it into gear.
It does sound like you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen you, like, say anything to a plant. I wonder if any studies have been done to show that plants, I just spit. Well, you did. That plants do better if they're, like, I think they've done that, right?
With music.
Like, yeah, with music.
Yeah.
They've done, like, classical music or something, and didn't they grow better?
I think so. Maybe that's why my plants are underperforming in some areas.
I don't think your plants are underperforming.
They feel threats and menacing stares.
I think when your plants underperform, it's just because you have too many. Not that you have too many, of course. You just have a lot. No such thing as too many.
Okay, next question. Seriously, really? Said, where would aphids come from if not from a plant brought in? That's highly possible. I got a few mealybugs on a store-bought succulent, and it infested every plant on 2 shelves, and I can't get rid of them. Mealybugs are the worst. The worst. If I ever see any showing up on any plant, it doesn't matter what plant it is. Oftentimes, even instead of trying to treat it, I just throw the plant away, because mealybugs, like, once they take hold, it is tough to keep them under control, especially if you're using organic sprays. I feel like you'd have to spray them every day.
Well, a lot of sprays are not inexpensive, and you think about, like if you get mealybugs, the cost of the plant, or
if it infects all your others,
some insecticide that you're having to buy.
Right. Well, and then all that in the air, like, I hate spraying stuff in here, which I have. I sprayed the tomato and vegetable, which is a pyrethrins sulfur-based spray. It had like a little bit of a weird smell, and there was an electrician in here working while I was in here working. I'm like, apologize for the smell. That's the spray, the sulfur in the spray. But that's the only time I've ever sprayed in here. Like, other than that, I mean, last year we had no insect pressure at all in here, which was amazing. This year we're keeping it in check so far. Just wait until it heats up in here in terms of seedling. I mean, I've got a lot to do yet. Cinzia De Luca said, Laura and Aaron, are you able to once again explain what true leaf means for seedlings? I've tried to find it in your other seed videos, but haven't come across it yet. Thank you in advance. So the first leaves that come out, the first 2 leaves are cotyledons. I think that's how you say it. They're not true leaves. It's the next set that come out that are your first true leaves. So the first ones that come out are actually kind of, I think they're referred to as like seed leaves sometimes. They're actually part of the embryo of the seed. So anyway, like for geraniums in this video, I showed you, you could see one of their true leaves had appeared, and you could see the seed leaves or the cotyledons right below it.
So what, like 3 and 4? Leaves 3 and 4 are real?
Right.
Or what do you call them? Just true leaves?
Right, true leaves. So it's the leaf that's true to the plant that you're growing.
What are the first ones called? Fake ones? Fake leaves?
Cotyledons.
Oh. It sounds like an ancient dinosaur or something.
Cotyledon?
Yeah.
Dinosaur. Samantha does a dinosaur
noise. What does a dinosaur say?
So cute. In the Garden with Mateo said, how often do you water your citrus, and how much water do you think you use? I'm still trying to figure out the best watering schedule for mine. It depends on which one I'm watering. Like the one that I showed you in this video, the navel orange, is in a small terracotta pot, and it probably gets water once a week, about once a week, I would say. The one I still have a lime tree in a big container, and I water it quite a bit more just to fully saturate that root ball, or not fully saturate it, but just get it a little bit more moist. So that one I probably water every 2 weeks or so. And I honestly have never measured the amount of water. That's a really tough one. It's so dependent on where you have them placed and what kind of container you have them in, what size of container it is, how much soil reservoir they have. So that's something you just kind of have to like gauge and learn about over time based on how your plant reacts. Next video was cleaning up a recent antique find and repotting houseplants / daffodils. So in that video, I took that last hutch that my mom and I had picked up on our recent antiquing trip, and I redid it. And I was reminded how much I don't really like to redo furniture. I used to do it so much a long time ago. I think it was when I had no kids. We didn't have kids. We had a very small house, a very small yard. I didn't have as many things going on. So maybe I enjoyed the process a little bit more. I did not anticipate needing to paint the inside. I was kind of hoping I could just clean it and then merely stain, like throw a little bit of wood stain on the bare areas inside. But what I didn't realize is that when I got into it, it was filthy. First of all, it was filthy dirty, and it had like this black vinyl fabric attached to some areas, but it was ripped and coming off. So I had to tear that off. And I think that it was like on plywood that is not original to the hutch for sure. It had been like cut and put in there more recently, I guess. It had a kind of a funky smell, and I don't think that it would have looked pretty even with wood stain. So I thought a clean couple layers of paint, it would be better for that wood. And then some of it was already painted black on the inside, but not all of it. So stain would, I don't know, it needed an overall kind of cleanup altogether. But it works perfect for the area where we put it. I put some lights on the inside. I need to figure out a better way to attach them to the top, to the undersides of the shelves, because they keep falling down. Anyway, we got some houseplants for the top, and then I made a little daffodil arrangement for our coffee table that has a little birch branch kind of bird's nest around them. They're really sweet. Cindy said, light bulb moment. When repotting a plant, I've never thought to place the plastic pot inside the soil of the new container to make an impression. You probably didn't even know you were giving us tips. Love the style cabinet, and of course your sweet ... That one got cut off, but yeah, isn't that awesome? It makes it so easy, especially with plants that are really full on top. Like with this one, this peperomia would have been fairly easy just to pot normally, but if you can slide your plant out of your pot and pack soil in around it, then you can just pop that root ball right in and not have to add a bunch of soil. So much cleaner and easier in the end. Judy said, is anyone else waiting patiently for a piano concert on that beautiful Steinway?
You should do it.
I don't know that I'll ever do that. I don't know. I have never been one to want to play in front of other people. It's kind of like speaking in public. I don't like to speak, like public speaking is not my jam. I speak to you all the time. It's kind of the same way. Like, I love to play the piano, and I'll play it when my family's at home, but like getting up in front of people and playing it, it's just a totally different feel. But that piano is just absolutely beautiful. I love just to see it sitting in there. Right now, it's a little bit of a difficult time because Samantha's still a 2-nap-a-day girl, and she goes to bed, way before we do.
She does a lot of sleeping.
She does a lot of sleeping, and so there's not, and we're working during the day. And so there's like a tiny little window, usually around when I'm making dinner and or cleaning up from dinner, where I could go play. And so I think once she transitions herself, which will probably be soon, down to 1 nap a day, it'll get a little easier and I'll get more playing time in. But you guys know how it is. Like, you do not mess with your baby's napping schedule. Nothing is worth that. Cindy said, what do you use to clean wood furniture? Well, I wiped this one down with just like a clean rag. Clean, wet, moist, damp rag, just to clean the dirt off of it. And then I use Old English, or I use I can't remember the brand, it's a wax and feed for wood. I'll use that quite often. That's about it. Josephine said, Laura, I noticed you have a light switch next to your new cabinet. Have your electrician add an outlet for your lamp next to the light switch so you need to use an extension cord for your lamp. Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah, good idea.
One of these years, we're just going to remodel everything.
Yeah, but it's just...
Don't touch it.
We'll probably just keep saying one of these years.
That's the worst, isn't it?
I know.
Like not wanting to do anything. Because we might change it all.
Well, that's why I'm like, maybe I should just go ahead and sew the curtains that are thumbtacked to the wall in the great room. Maybe I should just go ahead and sew those curtains, even though I know all the moldings and the window sizes are going to change in there, most likely. Anyway, Valerie says, does Laura have 2 dishwashers? No, I have one. I wish. That would be kind of nice. I have 1 dishwasher and 1 trash compactor. That's what the other thing that looks like a dishwasher is.
Which you don't like for some reason.
I don't like to use it. I don't like to open it.
Makes sense to me.
Well, it's like the woodwork around it's like falling apart, and I feel like it throws me off. I don't know. And our other garbage can is just like out in the open, and it's really easy. Mm-hmm. And so I think I just go to that. So that was really funny. I think it was maybe the first year we lived here, and you were I was getting so much sass from Aaron about having a different garbage can and having one out in the open when we have this trash compactor sitting there. So I thought, I'm going to get him. So I put a watermelon in the trash compactor thinking, like, I was belly laughing to myself, like by myself, putting this watermelon in the trash compactor, thinking about what was going to happen the next time you actually compacted the trash.
What did you think was going to happen?
I don't know. I thought it was just going to, I don't know what I was thinking.
It's a really weird thing to do.
I know. And so Aaron used the trash compactor, and it just like, it exploded, and juice went everywhere, like on the mechanism and all underneath on the floor.
You can't really do a practical joke on someone and then also make them clean it up.
Well, I didn't. I cleaned it up.
But that's the thing is like, whenever you do something like that, if it's going to make a mess, you have to know, like, you're going to have to clean it up.
But I didn't think it was going to make a mess. I thought it would stay in the bag.
Oh.
I had no idea. I think what I thought was like, well, we'll see. He says it works for everything. I'm going to put this watermelon in there and we'll see what happens. And the bag didn't hold, and I thought it would make like a big loud noise, and you would kind of, I don't know what I thought. Anyway, don't do that. If you have a trash compactor, don't put a watermelon in there. Diana said, Laura, are your chandeliers on dimmers? I got my husband to put some of my lights on dimmers. It's so beautiful and cozy. Yes, so we have 2 of our chandeliers are on dimmers. The one in the kind of TV room, which we're going to change into a dining room here soon. We did get a table. Now we're on the hunt for chairs. And then the one in the great room is on a dimmer. But the ones in the kitchen, the one in the landing, and the one in the butler's pantry, all of those, the rest of them, the staircase ones, are all normal.
I really want to put those Philips Hue light bulbs, candelabra bulbs, but they're so expensive. They're like $40 per bulb or something. I don't like the way they look. Ridiculous.
I like the way the old like frosted ones look with the tip.
The other ones, not the color changing light bulbs, but the Philips Hue bulbs, just regular ones, they're only like $15 per bulb, which is still a lot. But if you think about, being able to dim any light or turn it on or off with your phone or,
right.
Or Siri or Alexa or something like that, if you do a whole room, it's like, well, you can get, 10 bulbs for $150, and it's pretty nice to be able to control your lights, remotely. So that might be worth it, but $40 a bulb.
No.
No thanks.
Nope.
Especially when you need 10 of them, like per chandelier.
William said, boy, does she look like little Benjamin. Can you believe she's toddling around and picking up and putting down? So sweet. Yeah, it's crazy. I can't believe she's over a year old now. She started walking when she was 10 months, so she's been walking for quite a while now, which has been glorious. Benjamin started walking right about a year, but he wanted to be assisted while walking, so holding onto his arms, bent over from about 6 months on. So he did that for 6 months. And we were really careful not to encourage that this time around. And I think it encouraged her to start earlier. She's got a few words too. Of course, she says mama and dada. And she says night-night. Yeah. And she says thank you. Thank you and no thank you are the same. And she says hot.
Yeah, she says
I have my coffee.
Did you say that?
And she'll go hot. She'll say hot to the fireplace.
Yeah. The other day we were watching Frozen, and when Elsa creates that like snow monster and it roars or whatever, then she looked at me and goes, wow. I like the dinosaur. Wow.
And the very last video from this week was looking at your amazing containers part 2. So it was another one where you guys submitted photos of containers that did especially well for you, that were beautiful. This was part 2, another round. I don't know how many we got through, maybe 15 or so. Gorgeous containers. Oh my goodness. Jose said, oh Laura, I've spent the last 2 days by my Poppy's bedside sitting with him as he departs this world. I returned to the hotel room for some rest after being at the hospital all day, and was so comforted to see the notification of a new garden answer video. Thank you for being an ever-present ray of sunshine and stability in a world with struggles, grief, and loss. I really appreciate everything you do and for your peaceful, calming, and grounding spirit, especially tonight. God bless, Emily. Emily, I am so, so sorry. What a tough time. Thank you for such a sweet comment. I mean, I'm really sorry for what you're going through. It's really encouraging that we could come alongside and kind of, be that I don't know, that little ray of maybe some joy, I guess.
Yeah.
Man. Cindy said, did the seeds you and Benjamin planted sprout? Nope.
Those are the Christmas trees?
Those are Joanne's seeds.
Joanne's.
Yeah, well,
Never buy seeds from Joanne's.
The peppermint did not come up. It's supposed to come up in like a week. And I don't even see any seed in here. Somebody come steal it? Hang on. Oh, here's a seed. Yeah, nothing has happened. Here's the other seed. Still looking the same as they did the day we planted them. I was going to toss some extra peppermint seeds in here just so that they would come up for Benjamin, but honestly, I think he's forgotten about this project. And maybe it's a good lesson to show him that sometimes it doesn't work out. And we'll just start over again in a pot that doesn't look like this and doesn't get all kind of moldy on the side. Gross. Strong Cup of Tea said, beautiful and inspiring. Laura, could you please comment on how far outside the local growing zone you recommend for selecting and planting annuals? I'd love to give some new varieties a try during the summer months, but I'm confused on how much risk they might be with a higher zone, more tropical annuals, and how best to care for them. So you're talking about like heat zone as opposed to like a...
Right? Or...
Yeah, and some of the plants you'll see a heat zone on them, like a heat... but...
Have you run into almost anything though that can't... I mean, an annual. It means it's gonna last one season.
Right.
So like I just don't know of anywhere that's like survivable on Earth where you would live that you couldn't plant an annual that would survive the
Just
season.
The season.
It won't last more than a season. You know what I mean? Like
yeah. I mean, I would be more concerned if you're in a colder climate where you have a really short growing season.
Yeah.
Because you could plant annuals, but you may not get something like, I mean, your eggplant would be an annual, or your tomatoes or your peppers. And if you've got such a short growing season, unless you choose varieties that are short growing season as well, you may not get fruit. And there are other things too like that are annuals technically, like artichokes would technically be an annual in your area. And yeah, in a colder zone. So you would want to make sure that you either have a way to protect it or whatever. But in hotter zones, I wouldn't imagine that things couldn't handle.
Yeah. If you can live there.
Although there are some kind of
live there.
Annuals like Nemesia and Diacia, those kinds of things. Heliotrope, typically, I'm trying out Proven Winners' new heliotrope this year. And I guess it's a lot more heat tolerant and it can last through the season. But there are some more cold tolerant things that wouldn't, like pansies and violas. They would fizzle out in a super hot climate. So there is that. Mm-hmm. There's cool season. You just want to find like heat loving, humidity loving things like that. And some of them will have a heat rating on them too. Like a heat zone, which I know very little of. Honestly, I haven't had to worry about that much. And the last question is from Laura. How do we submit photos for her upcoming videos? I think I answered that earlier in this video, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So there's usually a link below the videos, the compilation videos like that. There's a link in the description, and then you'll see a post if you're following us on Facebook and or you check the community tab on our YouTube channel. My brain sometimes doesn't quite get there fast enough. Anyway, you will find where we post about it. And that's it for this week's recap video.
Yeah.
Hope you guys are all having a great day and a great week, and we will see you in the next one.